Hello to everyone and welcome back to this channel. In a recent video, we said that after you get selected in the diversity visa lottery, the next thing you have to do is to fill out and submit your DS-260. We said that the submission of your DS-260 is your official application to the United States government for immigrant status. In other words, when you get selected in the diversity visa lottery and you do not submit your DS-260, the US government considers that you are not interested in immigrating to the United States, although you were selected in the diversity visa lottery. So, in order for you to be considered for immigration to the United States, you have to, first of all, submit your DS-260. That was what we said in a recent video. Now, in today's video, I will be discussing the link or the connection between the submission of your DS-260 and the scheduling of your diversity visa interview. So let's go into that. Now, for those of you who are new to this channel, in many videos in the past, I've underlined that the diversity visa program has actually changed over the last few years. Since COVID-19, the way in which the diversity visa program is being run is no longer how it used to be run prior to COVID-19. In upcoming videos, I will provide more details, more clarity. But prior to COVID-19, the scheduling of diversity visa interviews were determined solely by one's case number as long as that applicant submitted their DS-260. In other words, after you submitted your DS-260, in case you had a low case number, it was sure that your interview would be scheduled in the early months. And in case you had a high case number, then your interview would be scheduled in the later months of the diversity visa program year. And in cases where your case number was too high, then the scheduling of interviews never actually reached to your case number. That's a summary of how the scheduling of interviews occurred in the diversity visa program prior to COVID-19. Now, that allowed some applicants to deliberately delay the scheduling of their interviews by not submitting their DS-260 soon enough. There are cases that I'm aware of where applicants submitted their DS-260 1 year after the release of the diversity visa lottery results, and their DS-260s were processed in time, they were interviewed successfully, and they immigrated to the United States. So prior to COVID-19, when an applicant had some activity that it needed to complete before traveling to the United States or having their interview conducted, they would not submit their DS-260 soon enough if they had a low or relatively low case number. Because at that time, once you submitted your DS-260, it was your case number that was considered for you to be scheduled for interview. Nowadays, in the diversity visa program, things are done differently. When you submit your DS-260, there is a whole process that the DS-260 has to go through, or your application has to go through, before your interview is scheduled. That is how things are happening nowadays in the diversity visa program. And so, because of that, applicants are advised to submit their DS-260 soon enough. Now, someone may ask me, what do you mean by soon enough? How soon? From my experience in recent years working with diversity visa applicants, the best possible time to submit your DS-260 is during the months of May and June. May and June, that is right after the diversity visa lottery results are released. Now, this does not automatically mean that those who submit in the month of July, August, or perhaps even later are automatically doomed. Not necessarily, but submission later in the program year could lead to your diversity visa interview being delayed. That is what I have observed in the diversity visa program in recent years. Now, that does not mean that you should rush into submitting your DS-260. Every year, I have the experience of applicants who see their result on the day that the results are released, and on that same night or even the next day, they rush and submit their DS-260. That is not advisable. Why is it not advisable? It's because generally, rushing to submit your DS-260 leads to you discovering errors in your DS-260 later on, and you will now start to see how you can reopen your DS-260 to correct those errors. So to avoid that, the best thing to do, especially at this time when you still have sufficient time in your favor, is to fill out your DS-260 step by step until you get to the end of the DS-260. Do not submit immediately. Leave the DS-260 for a couple of days or even up to a week. Return to the DS-260. Review the information that you included in the DS-260. On most occasions, you will realize that there are errors in that DS-260 that need to be corrected. Then you correct those errors. If it's even possible to review after a number of days again, then eventually submit your DS-260 when you are sure that all of the information that you included in the DS-260 are correct. That's the way to proceed. And that can happen in this month of May. You have sufficient time in this month of May. You also still have all of the month of June to achieve that. But do not rush and submit your DS-260 because later you may need to reopen your DS-260, which is not always a pleasant experience. Now, for those of you who have not yet completed filling out your DS-260, I have a video in which I walk you step by step in the process of filling out your DS-260. So what I'm going to do is to leave the link to that video just below this one. Click on that link and get to see how to fill out your DS-260. And then for those of you who are not aware, I offer diversity visa services and also run a guidance program for diversity visa applicants. Nowadays, I do not address issues that pertain to individual cases in the comment area of my videos. It is rather on my guidance platform that I do that. So in case you would like to engage my services, then look just below this video. I'm going to leave the link to my guidance platform there. Click on it, access the platform, enter your information, and get more information concerning my services and my diversity visa guidance. Thanks for watching this video. See you very soon, God willing, in the next one. Until then, goodbye.